Otherwise, I'll try and get it right.
Hey everyone, Shawn McBride. Welcome to another edition of the Best in Events show. Today is all about your future and finding new direction for event planners. You know, one of the things is just the reality is that, things change and the environment has changed, the event environment has changed. And we've been examining that here on the Best in Events show and interviewing people about what are the future of events, where things are. And I think, if you put an opportunity mindset to it, this creates new opportunities, new directions, and new things. And Carol's been working with people who are finding new directions and considering that. And so we're going to introduce her, and we're going to kind of put a spin on event planning about, what are some of the future possibilities and what can be done. So, Carol, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining me today. And I'll pop you up here on the screen. Let's see. Boom. There we are.
Hello.
How you doing, Carol?
I'm great. Thank you. Thanks for that.
Give us a little bit of your impressive background. I know it was on the write-up for the show, but tell people about what you've done and how you work with people in the events world.
Well, I think I just want to start off that I am, part of the event industry. That was the first, 17 years of my career in special events. And if there's anything I've learned, everything about life is events, every single moment. So I was a certified special event professional. I planned events all across Canada, the United States. I was an educator in the faculties and created some of the certifications in partnership with Ryerson University in the event management. I worked in Canada on the Ontario Tourism Education Council with the international certifications. So, events are my love. From the age of 18, right through to, the next 20 years, I would plan special events. And, I really was a driven leader in leadership, which I know event planners are. I acknowledge each and every one of the planners that are listening because you're a leader, you're a communicator, and you bring teams together. And that is an extraordinary individual. And one of the things in the event industry, when I was very active in it, that we were looking at was, that we were one of the top 5 stressful industries in the world. Now that had, myself included, working many hours, just like planners do, and delivering the joy and the entertainment and the magical moments for many in the industry. So, that's just a little bit about my event industry background for 20 years. I had a transition when I got my own coach for my business. And I started to look at new opportunities. So sometimes things are very, a perspective, but I started to look at what was possible. But it took somebody to actually give me a new window to look at myself differently and where I could evolve. And it wasn't necessarily a pretty event. It was going to be a discovery event that had to go deep inside of who I was, because my identity was so attached to myself in the event industry. So, who I am now and why I'm here to have a conversation with the industry is I'm a leader of leaders. I coach. I'm a lifestyle leadership coach. And I made a promise to the industry about 5 years ago when I wrote my book. My book is called Life is a Special Event, that I would come back and make a difference with what I've learned. So I had to learn a whole new set of techniques that would inspire myself first, then I could go out and deliver it to the industry. And I'm ready now. I've been doing it now for the last few years.
That's perfect. Folks, if you are watching, drop a comment. Let us know about your kind of journey to where you've gotten to in the events industry and how you're here. We'd love to hear from you. Dierdra, I'm going to pass it over to you now.
Yeah. As you know, Carol, I'm in the event industry. We've been connected for a while as well. Tell me, with your experience in the event industry and where we are now, what are you seeing or hearing about planners during COVID?
So, right away in the very first few weeks of this, my heart felt the industry. You never leave the industry, as one of my leaders actually told me that. I felt like this incredible experience of shutdown. Like when hospitality is such an incredible role in the world, from everything from travel to retreats to business to meetings. Like it's the second number, I think it's the second or top, I can't remember the statistics right now, employer in the world. So I felt the sadness and the pullback. Now we're 12 weeks into this, and there's something that needs to be done. There's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of questions. So my awareness on the industry and the listening, because not only do I hear the conversations and then that matter are about what are people experiencing? What is it like? And there's some people who are very vocal, and then there's other who go quiet. And, when I didn't have the training I had, I would go more into the quiet and avoiding and start trying to figure everything out myself. And there may be some, and it's okay that are that, but there's others that are going to observe and wonder, what can I do? What can I do to make a difference in my life right now? How can I pivot my career? Are there new options? Can I continue on as an event planner? There's lots of questions, but I want to just share something for anyone who's going to watch this. And there's 3 key areas of your life. There's your career, which you would probably say before all of this pandemic took up a good 80 to 90% of your life. There's another 2 areas of your life, which is your relationships and your health. And, when I speak about budget, it's not about money, it's about your time. And you want to get real with how you were spending your time before this experience and how you're spending your time now. And are you spending your time in worry, concern? If you are, there's new opportunities. And one of the ways is to look at your life as a special event and create it versus be at the impact of what's happening right now. So that's a new experience and a new perspective that I'm interested in sharing with planners so that they can create themselves and know who they are as a special event. Just go ahead and create life as a special event.
Yeah. And I think, we're in an interesting time, right? Because the world has changed. I mean, you're in denial if your life as a planner or anything hasn't changed due to COVID-19 and everything. Income streams have changed. What we're spending our time on has changed. So, Carol, how do you sit here and kind of look at the windows of opportunity? I mean, what are the keys to kind of just, thinking outside the box, I guess, and looking at what's possible?
So the first window of opportunity is your window. So this is why I'm always going to go back to you first, the individual. I'll just give an example of my own life, how I theme my life. So we're all familiar with themes and how we unify something in a special event. I bring that to my life. So at the beginning of the year, before I knew any of this was going to happen, I created what's called, an experience for my year. And my year was like birds of inspiration, just made it up from nothing, started researching birds and chose the peacock for the first 3 months. And this second quarter, my life is themed as an eagle. And I thought, oh, isn't that interesting that I chose an eagle for this particular quarter while we're dealing with the challenges that we have. So if you're going to look for opportunities, you have to do things differently. We cannot do what everybody else is doing. I just was coaching somebody in the last week, and they were like, I'm going to do what everybody else is doing. I'm going to put myself out there on resumes. I'm going to do this. And they were pressured and panicked and everything. And I said, well, how's that going to go when your whole experience of yourself? So we talk about, I just want to compare this to special events because this is what life is. When we take it on, our life on like a special event, we don't work with, panic and frustration and concern and worry in the background. We work with creation, and we create an event in the future. And just some young ladies that I'm working with, each individually created their theme. What is it they want? What area do they want to work on now? Do they want to understand their career newly, what's possible? So you want to become the creator. Before you go looking, you want to actually design and take on a blueprint of your life. So create your life by design. What's my window? Well, you're going to choose what your window is. I'm not going to tell you what your window is. You're going to choose what your new future is. And there's going to be some research required, just like you would do for a client. If you're doing a proposal, you would go and do some research and discover what matters. So that's how I guide people in a conversation. And by the way, this is good to do this with a friend, because if you listen to yourself, you may not hear the opportunity. But if you share with someone, they can hear what's possible in your communication. Have them repeat it back to you.
Fascinating. Dierdra?
Dierdra? Can you hear us?
Oh, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure what I can hear you. Yeah. Okay. So tell me something. you know, we all know that we're kind of in denial. We don't have an end to all of this. And as a former event planner, now life coach, we talked about some of the tools, and I've been a student of your program, which you've given me a lot of focus and a different outlook on my own life and how each aspect of it is created as an event, or you know, plan A, plan B. I'm dealing with that right now with a lot of things. Can you tell us a bit more about the program and the different components that it entails?
Yeah, so I designed a program. It's not launched to the public yet, so it's launching in the next month in July. I've been actually working on this for over 4 years and having people go through my beta program, and Dierdra, you were one of them, but it's a self-mastery quest. So I kept it very simple for planners and individuals to go through a series of 8 weeks to discover yourself newly. I had to go through this myself. My journey is a little longer than 8 weeks, but 8 weeks is enough to take on your awareness, like with the choices that you make. So just to give you an example, over an 8-week period, right now you have choices to make. That's the very first opportunity. Once you can choose what area you want to work on and theme your life, you want to discover the choices. What choice is my window that I want to take on now in my life? And you may not have all the answers. That's okay. But then actually I take you through what matters in the world right now, and in creation, and everything that we're dealing with, it comes out in language. So our language declares a new future. And I think some of the planners, of course, they'll know like The Secret and everything like that. Like you could declare a victory in the future. You want to get really clear, crystal clear. Shawn, you mentioned focus about a future. You want to get crystal clear who you are and what you're creating, and be very specific on this event. And if you were doing a proposal again, you would want to give every detail. And Dierdra, you talked about the senses. And then I take people through different distinctions, going one step further to understand your relationship with yourself. And there's just very simple. It's not a classroom. Life is a classroom. Really, life is a special event. It's happening moment by moment, and you're going to start seeing how you operate in life, because now you're bringing awareness to yourself. And this you can take into building your new future. This conversation today, I wanted to really say that you get to control. You know, there's a lot of things out of our control right now. I just want to acknowledge that.
That's right.
The only thing that we have control over is ourselves, and to create a new future and take on one step at a time. So that's why I created this. I didn't know it was going to be during pandemic time, by the way, but it's the best time. I think divine has a time.
Absolutely. And I'd just be curious. So you mentioned you've had a beta group. Dierdra was one of your beta members. I mean, what have you seen with the course and the people who have gone through it?
I think I just have to say something about myself for a moment. I'm my own best critic for my own work. And it's over 9 years I've worked on this message, life is a special event. So I'm very particular, like I would be with my special events. And it mesmerized me, the capacity of what evolved in a series of 8 weeks. And there was one lady, Karen, who was doing my program. I'd met her off LinkedIn. We hadn't ever met in person. And she created her life with a butterfly theme, which I appreciated the stages of the year, going through that. And in 4 weeks of the program, halfway through, she said to me, Carol, I've done more than I've done in 5 years in 4 weeks. And I was like, that's a lot. And, she was ready. She was really ready for a change in life. And I think this is the one thing I want to say about this, is that unless things get really bad and you hit rock bottom, you may not denial. Shawn, you mentioned denial. You may not be ready for the change. But this is an opportunity to look at, before it gets to rock bottom, to actually look at yourself honestly. Another woman I took on during the program, she started just at the beginning of COVID. And she took on the conversations to her life with her children in her home, and made choices about how she homeschooled her kids. But she also had the responsibility as a single mother to create a new income. So I asked her to get very specific, and she wanted to work at, she used to teach hula dancing, special events, entertainment. I'm trying to think how to do it. She was amazing. So she started doing YouTube videos of her dancing in her backyard and educating people on her dance, which she'd never done, never, ever done. And then she took one step further to get very specific on the job she wanted. And here's the thing, I'll tell you, when you get crystal clear about your creation of an event, in 1 week, she manifested the job that she wanted in her community, called up the center. And here's the best part. Most times you would do a formal interview, but of course now things are different. She picked up the phone one day. It was the organization calling her saying, we want to do your interview. She had no time to prepare. Dierdra, you talked about plan B, did the interview and got the job in 1 week, 1 week during this pandemic. And that was from being clear, designing, conversations, being prepared for the unprepared, unplanned events, following through, and all the things we learn in special events, having integrity in all our conversations, knowing what was needed if she needed to have a quarantine or the 14 days for this new job. She took all the actions consistent with what she wanted. So that's just a couple examples. And Dierdra, you can share something if you want to share what you've discovered. I think you shared a bit about focus, right?
Oh, Shawn has to put me back in. There we go. Yeah, one of the biggest things that I discovered, and I've been on my own journey for about almost 4 years now, and finding my spirituality and finding, who is Dierdra in her 50s, and really taking a good look at my life and where I want to go from there. And it really gave me a lot of focus on, where I am in my relationship, where I am in my health. I've actually never felt better now than I have in probably 10 years. And I'm probably got the COVID-15 added on too. But it's also having that focus of what's next. Where do I see myself in the next 5 years, and building on that now, and without the problems of trying to fight myself. And I think that's what planners do. We're always about the client, and we fight ourselves on what we need to do for us.
Can I mention 3?
Because it's all about the family. It's all about the clients.
Yeah, I think that's the discovery. I mean, Dierdra, you hit a couple of things I just want to mention. So the first one you said about your health. If you take your life as a venue, how you go to a venue, and, I'm just going to use a 5-star venue. You see the quality of how they take care of the venue, the food, the service, the experience is a 5-star experience. You want to ask yourself this question. One of the first few chapters about this is that you're the venue for all your life events. Are you, if you were to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 5 out of stars, what star level are you as a venue? You're the venue that's hosting all of your life events. So Dierdra, you mentioned about your health being one of the best states, because now you have the awareness. It's like, this is my vessel and this is what I'm taking on. Again, planners, I love you. I am you. I understand your world because you're so strong. And I was this too, that I'm so strong and so stubborn. I wouldn't even allow people in to my world to help me for quite some time. I'm really stubborn. And good thing I had a good coach. And I realized that an identity runs. I'm not going to go into the psychology side of this too much, but there's an identity that runs our lives. And for most planners, it's either leave me alone, but don't leave me alone. We're saying at the same time, or it's along the lines of, and I love how we have a fear of missing out on something. We want to be at every event. We want to learn. We want to grow. We want to contribute. We want to do this. We want to network. We want to meet people. Again, how do you be at every event if you haven't taken care of the one special event, which is you? So choices that you make, simplifying your life. This has been probably a brilliant opportunity. You may or may not see it this way, but the filter is, this is an opportunity for you to really look within yourself and discover what you're just doing. The work is to discover yourself newly and to create multiple incomes as well. This is the other thing, just let alone being in the event industry. I want you to keep your profession. I'm not here to steer you away from that, but actually discover yourself how you could show up in other areas. I mean, I know that within a year from now, I'm going to be expanding and having coaches in my program because there's so many people who need our guidance from an external perspective, from a listening of someone else that can hear where things are not working for them and discover themselves, not as something to do because we're used to that, but how you can be an experience in life and choose your experience. I'll give you one last thing is you can be a pity party or you can be a grand celebration in life, and just choose the conversation you're going to sit in life. What conversation am I in right now during this time? Am I at the effect of it and pitying myself, or am I in charge of my life and I am taking things on like a grand gala and I'm taking life on? That's what I would like to say.
Yeah, I think with planners, our biggest thing is that we try to wow the client, but we forget about ourselves because we're so busy looking at the client and what the client needs. And we have a remark from the from our attendees. Says, this is from Brigitte. Hello, Carol. Nice to meet you. I manage groups and events at 3 hotels in London. Do you think virtual meetings will dominate until tech investments to be able to conferences?
So I can give you my personal viewpoint on this, not from a factual, okay?
Probably.
I think that right now virtual event, sorry, go ahead.
If you like.
What's that, Dierdra?
Go ahead, Carol. I think she might be having some technical difficulties.
Oh, okay, no problem. Yeah, I can see the present question here. So I just want to acknowledge, Brigitte, here's the thing. There's so much uncertainty in the market. So it's the inquiry in this is, I can't tell you what's going to happen. I can tell you what is happening and from the listening of my leaders. So I am a part of a global leadership body in communications. And, we are listening from that there's a possibility there's going to be second waves of this come the fall. I think virtual meetings are an extraordinary opportunity. There's technology that you want to learn. There's connectedness. I think knowing planners and also people, not just planners, this is humanity, is how to create fun programs and getting connected online in these chat rooms. I've done so many of them that one of my favorite ones, just recently was a virtual dinner where I got related to people and connected with people. And now, like ever before, we can use it for corporations. They're also requiring training. So your investment in technology, invest in technology and invest in people that can lead these, because there's a real personal aspect that's required to have virtual meetings now. So.
Yeah, and I think that is probably going to be a big trend in the future is, virtual meetings are probably, people are getting used to them, right? I hear so many people now, even on the basic level, that are now used to doing a Zoom meeting. It was until recently you couldn't buy a webcam because everywhere you went to get a webcam, they were sold out, right? Because people had to embrace the new technology. So I think, long term, we still have the uncertainty of waves of viruses and people are going to be scared to go back to events. So at least certainly in the medium term, there's going to be more virtual events, I would imagine. And then long term, people are now getting in the habit of doing virtual meetings, right? So I don't think they're going to go away. The question is going to be the blend between a virtual and an in-person meeting. So
I agree. And also, I think, having sit in the seat virtually, I love this show because I'm sitting down again, but I'm really implementing some life strategies. So again, life is special. You got to keep moving. You got to keep yourself active. And one of the things I'll just share for inspiration over the summer is, I've created a whole program that I'm going to do in a kayak this summer and, have a vlog on life and flow on the river because it's inspired me. And, that's where new ideas get created when planners are left to create a future. We are the future. We are creators of the magic and the miracles in the world. For Joel.
I think there's something to be said for that, and I'm going to add Dierdra in here. Hopefully, she's gotten over her technical.
Hey, we're talking about technology, right? So here,
yeah,
this
it's a little technology difficult, but I know Dierdra has some good views on this. But I'm with you, right? I mean, I think we're not just passengers of the future, right, Carol? We are participants, and
we're creators.
We are creators. We're part of the process. We build, and so if somebody's here, Brigida, saying, I would like to build a future where I do more virtual meetings, then start building it, right? Become a great virtual meeting person, and then teach people about what they can do with virtual meetings and kind of bring everything full circle and create that future that you want. Dierdra, what do you think about the balance? The question is, she's one of the viewers asking, should you invest in technology in light of all the virtual meetings right now?
I don't know.
Dierdra? I think Deirdre's still having technical difficulties, but I would say, if it's part of your long-term business strategy, I would say go ahead and make the investment. So that's the question of the hour, right? Is this something you want to do long-term? If it is, I would say make the investment. That's my personal opinion. If you think it's just something you want to dabble in to get you through, or you're going to go a different direction, I wouldn't go too deep into it. So.
Yeah, and that's, here's, see, I'm going to take your own words, Shawn.
Yes.
Make an investment in technology. Okay. So when I hear your words, make an investment in technology, and for, I think it's Brigitte, I can't see the name any longer.
Brigitte, yes.
Brigitte, is make an investment in yourself. So make an investment in yourself. And you said it so well, Shawn. Every planner in hospitality, we're all leaders in life. And now is the best time for you to show up. Use all of the tools that you apply to others and apply them to yourself first. And then you can make a difference.
Yeah, and I love that attitude too, Carol, right? Because, people, you're needed right now. People need event planners. They need to know how to get people together. They need to find virtual meetings or alternate ways to communicate. They need, your skills and talents. So find ways to bring them, because I think that's the right attitude.
And peacefulness within the planner. So they're needed. Listen, if anything I can recommend from being a coach, and right now what's going on in the global community is listen. So when we're working with all our suppliers, we listen to what their needs are and we bring people together. I remember when I went through one of my pivotal changes in life, which was my divorce, I did a conversation at the special event show on bringing out the best in others. And I didn't know that theme would actually be my entire next 20 years of my life. That moment actually was such a pivotal change in my life, but bringing out the best, and planners can do that right now. So celebrate the differences that each of you can make each day, and celebrate yourself.
Yeah. Okay. And Brigida is asking about a training program, and I think part of it depends on where you want to train and invest, right? So Carol's been talking a lot about her program, and that's perfect if you want to make that investment in yourself, your mindset, and looking at options. And there's also, if you go back here and scroll through past episodes of the Best in Events show on YouTube, you'll see we've had a number of guests that are in the virtual conference area. So you may want to reach out to some of them and see if they have programs where you can work with them, or maybe you can learn from them and collaborate and partner with them. Carol, let me pass it back to you. Any thoughts on any programs if you want to get deeper in virtual events, or if you're looking that kind of direction? Where would you suggest people start?
Okay, so two things I'll just distinguish with Brigida. The program that I offer is for yourself. It's like a self-awareness coaching program. So, and it guides you through a new future. So I just want to be specific. Inside of virtual events, there's so many leaders that are doing different techniques. I've been working with some companies in the States and integrating, power cards that introduce people. PlannerNet, I know, was hiring tremendous amount of people, getting training and working all the back rooms and the breakout rooms. So you do want to get specific. I can't give you the company names. There's so many different disciplines. But you want to get familiar with how to do breakout rooms. You want to get familiar how to have conversations. And here's where maybe this is where I'll say, there's the technology side of it. Okay, so you can get in touch with Zoom. You can get in touch with, there's Google Meets, Microsoft. There's so many platforms now that we can do online. There's video platforms that we can send messages in like Loom, where you can send private messages. Everything is about getting personal. So I would suggest to Brigida, if you do want to get trained in virtual meetings, get trained in facilitation. get trained in facilitation of working with leaders and how to facilitate a room and how to manage people.
Yeah,
I've been on
totally.
500 people. You need a team to be able to manage the conversations and the access and the technology virtually for this, and be prepared, like any special event, that there's going to be breakdowns. So
I think if I can comment on this too, because we have had interviews about virtual conferences, and I'm following a lot of event planner groups and whatnot. MPI, PCMA are all offering a DES, which is Digital Event Specialist. It's and you can check out their websites. The other thing is, when you are planning virtual events, your clients and or your bosses may probably say to you, well, I don't need you because we're going to be using these guys. And you go, no, you do need me. You need somebody on the inside that is going to advise you correctly on the processes, as Carol said, on the management of the virtual event, because it's how your company is going to look. And it's so important to get a variety of quotes. There's so many pop-up organizations coming out of the woodwork right now that can say, I can do a virtual event, I can do this. And if we get back to the coaching component, and with Carol, it's so important right now, as we are going through this stage of uncertainty and possible transition for the event planning industry, to be able to have a coach, have a mentor that can guide you and also kind of tell you like it is.
I can share an example, Dierdra. I just was working with a client of mine in California, and going virtual with all their employees over the last few weeks. It was a conversation. So what's missing often with leaders in virtual meetings, also in the corporations, I'm not just going to say virtually, is a lot of the intentionality that we bring in leadership. So any of my clients I work with, the very first thing when we create a facilitation of a meeting is being crystal clear what the purpose is, what the intention is, same as special events, but really clear. We bring it to a level of communication that when people are showing up on these Zooms, we have an intention, we have an outcome, and we're all together, and we've got to move through things with speed. So that's where the leadership style comes in. You can have room captains, you can have people scribing. Managing promises is a very big one now with leadership, in making sure that the team leaders are documenting all of the promises that are made on the calls, because otherwise there's a lot of noise. We're all dealing with noise. And that's why I said, you got to clear the noise with yourself first, so you can be with everybody else, and then facilitate, and then cause a new future with the corporations and what they're committed to.
Yep. Carol, been a wealth of information here. And I know we put links to your bio and kind of how do people check out your courses in the show notes. But how do people, if somebody's watching it right now and they're taking notes on, how would they connect with you? I
think the best, we're all social media, right? So I could go through the list. LinkedIn is number one, Carol Moxam. Number two would be on Facebook. I do have my page active, Life is a Special Event. Join my community so that you can actually be aware of the launch as we're ramping up to this in the next month. And Instagram is fun for just seeing how I experience the flow of my life. I am the example of my own brand. If there's anything I've learned about branding and business, is be your brand. So I live life as a special event. I share life as a special event. And I'm really committed that planners take on their lives right now like they've never done it before.
Thank you for being such a fantastic guest, Carol. People viewing, thank you for being here. Looking forward to seeing more of your comments as we go forward. Don't be afraid to write them in, especially on the replay. Make sure you're subscribed to the Best in Events YouTube channel. Ring the bell for notifications. And we are live generally at 2 p.m. Eastern, a couple of times a week. So make sure you're watching your feed at that time, bringing great guests on to help you get inside knowledge of what's happening in the events industry. So thank you for being here, everybody. Looking forward to reading your comments, and we'll see you.